There is an action, part of what's reacting here, that you get sometimes, that can be a little bit more tricky, and that is, you get 3 people ganging up on someone or whatever, and they're just laughing. Now, they're enjoying it. They're not really being, there's nothing wrong with that reaction. But there's a point at which, when they're laughing so much, you've kind of lost the game. I mean, you're not, if they've decided that the whole thing is funny, there is only one way that I've ever seen personally, and I'll let you interject if you want to, and that is, so look to me, the standard, you've got them laughing, so you manage to get someone to come up behind them, and of course you know what's happening now, and do the scare. That can sometimes switch the laughter to a bit of startled reaction at least. Maybe not really scared, but getting in the right direction. So a lot of this is sort of misdirecting, or as you're not misdirecting, kind of triggering those sort of baser instincts of, I really should be running. You know? Oh, absolutely. I intend this to be everybody talking.
All right, so one thing that's really fun to do in the haunts that we do at Verdana a lot is typically folks are going through the haunt as couples. So you get a boyfriend picking a girlfriend type thing going on. Okay, so your girlfriend, you be boyfriend.
Yes, I know exactly what you're going to do.
I know exactly what you do.
And you're looking around, and I tap you and say, hey, I'm right here at night, right here. And you don't know, and you'll go like a long time. All of a sudden, she'll like is this. Wow.
It's funny. I have tried that at least a dozen times, and I've never pulled it off successfully. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I have yet to pull it off successfully. Because I'll do the tapping, and you're kind of breaking the never touch them rule when you do that.
Right.
And either, when they look to see who tapped them, they freak out and then the whole thing's over. Yeah. Or, as soon as they kind of stop a bit, they pull enough that the person looks at what they're seeing. I've tried it. And I had it come close to working once. So you guys must have a wonderful technique for doing that I haven't been able to master yet. Yeah.
As far as convention style settings like this, interacting together when not necessarily being in character, you have somebody come up to you in character.
So the first day I was here, wearing a different costume, a sort of reptilian one, there was a person that I've not seen him back out. It was a partial, it kind of had a satyr-like lower leg with a almost zombified head. On a leash that was titled Beast on a Leash. And I ended up spending a good 15 minutes interacting with that person. I want to borrow you for a second, Frisco. And, you know, the first thing that starts out is you end up doing the circles of each other. You know, you're rotating around. One will lunge forward, the other will lunge forward. And it actually can work really well for these entirely impromptu. I had no idea who this person was. I would love to have seen them here because I would like to have met them. But they can work really well. And very early on, you kind of have to establish, okay, are the two characters going to be friendly with each other or not? It usually seems to just establish itself. I mean, it's
depends if the other person wants to play along or not.
Yeah.
If they want to be aggressive or just whatever. Okay, it's going to be very dull and boring.
But we ended up, it was when Reg Line was waiting for them to open Reg, and we stood out there and probably
He's here,
for half
he's
an
here,
hour we
he's here.
Reg Line
Yay!
fighting with each other. So I'm gonna have him come forward because I want to do one other thing. I don't think he does it much better than that speaking characters. Some.
Yeah, we have to take care of this. We're kind of in this.
Yeah, I really like speaking characters. When I'm playing this guy or the Minotaur or any of the ones that I do, I tend to speak in them. You know, I'll get in, I can do it with the head on. I can't do it without the head on. Even though it's not abstract, it's just the way I can't do the talk. But it's just it's not so much speaking as just vocalization with the occasional words mixed in. But you know, you get up to people and it's a whole different thing from doing this versus And just that little vocalization, to me, makes it. I think, and you'll have
Okay,
people ask questions, and, where's the bathroom? Over there. You don't really want to not tell them. The results of that could be catastrophic. But, yes. Although you can win awards for that. And I love this costume. Come forward. Yes, that's you.
Yes, you.
I love the way the voicing works in this one. He's using modulation, some sort of adjustment to his voice. Yeah. I don't. I actually really like this costume. I think it would work bizarre but really well at a haunt scene. I just love it. But this would be the perfect costume, I think. Let's get a volunteer up. Come up. I support being volunteer.
It's his birthday.
Okay. Oh, we got it. Okay. So you two start talking. Now, you do it really good. I actually like the way you played the character when I was watching it out there. You were doing great, I think, just ad-libbing everything. Yep. So you're in a halt or in a con, and you see this, and you start laughing. Get his attention. Kind of, this would work at a con, at a haunt. Although that kind of character could almost get away with doing the pulling the hat down, especially if this were in a broad lit area. Technically it'd be questionable in the rules, but you could probably get away with it. Something like this you certainly could. The thing is, you're great because you can get up close to someone and start talking and distracting them. And the smart-ass stuff you were doing upstairs when we talked earlier, I thought was very good. Yeah. The laughter comes off really well. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. What's a good way to start this out? Yeah. You had it earlier. I'm trying to. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Meow.
It's my birthday. It's my birthday. How old do you think I am?
Oh.
See, now, one thing I would probably do here is you're playing a demonic character, say, from your looks, 100 or 200 years, suggesting that your time scale is different. Part of what I like about this is you say things, and every now and then you say something that doesn't make sense because your thought patterns are different. So how old? 200 years. You can't be a day older than 200. That sort of thing, I've liked when I've seen it in speaking characters. The dog and cat were good. That doesn't work with children. So you know where I'm going with it. Yeah. So actually, with the no answer, maybe then turn around and say, did you have them before dinner? Something along those lines. Thing is, you get that conversation going, and now you can get the werewolf, the demon, the chimera coming up behind.
Yeah. How old are you?
200 years old.
You're supposed to say how old do you think I am?
Stop messing up. Come on, Clint.
How old do you think I am?
Now, in this case, I would almost say, unlike the person behind you, and just let them turn to think, he's just fooling.
Turn the lights off. Let's go.
Yeah, turn the lights off.
The laughter works great. I love the laughter. But I think it is that making the idle conversation, this character I think works great as a distraction. I mean, it's the thing you put in the line that walks the line and talks to people. Actually, I want to see something. I'm going to stay up there. I'm going to do something. You all know what I'm going to do, maybe.
Jesus.
I mean, I can't imagine something walking around the line that would be more of an effective distraction from you hiding against another line. You can almost stand right next to it and people wouldn't notice. So, I mean, imagine seeing this coming in from the line. I think it would work great. But I think you've got to be that talker in this. You've got to walk up to people.
So what brings you here, you know?
Why are you here? What are you doing? And just getting used to ad-libbing. So I'd say let's maybe just start along here and work the line, and we'll see if we can come up with the right things to say. I've just heard your vision as bad as everyone else's. Huh? I'll get the light.
A little bit. There's someone right here.
Yeah. Fresco's getting a light. Okay.
No, I'm good. I'm good. As long as it doesn't move, I'm not getting one down.
Look what I can do. I can do that. I can dim the lights, apparently.
You guys are
Kind of.
with the lights, aren't you?
There we go.
It's dim enough. So yes. Oh, come now.
Same thing?
Your wings brought you there? What? Your wings? No, I don't see the wings. Hello. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
You know what goes well with red?
Barbecue sauce.
Oh, Little Red Riding Hood. So we need the werewolf to go with Little Red Riding Hood. Ah, So, you know, I think part of the problem is I put you on the spot too much. It was, I will say it was going, upstairs, you were just in the flow, and it was going really well. I think that's part of it is, and the cons are great for this, is go out and just get in the flow. Just you know, here, in some ways the bar is a lot higher because we've all seen this stuff. Oh, I like yours. They look like they're on fire. Oh. We've all seen, you know, nobody here looks at this, that, you know, any of these and goes, I can't imagine someone having a costume like this, because we've all got them. That's pretty unusual, that's pretty unique, so even here, that kind of gets the, wow, I've never seen that before. So the bar's higher here in that you've got to actually act in a way that distinguishes you from everybody else. You can't just rely on the costume at a place like this, especially in the last few years, where you've got, I mean, this one, you've got, you know, this one, not in the last few years. He's a few years old, I know.
17.
17.
Wow. But the bar is way higher.
Yeah, you've got an extremely high bar for costuming. That means you've got a lot of really, especially the more monstery, the more aggressive suits, they didn't exist that much 5-10 years ago, other than the stuff coming from Jordan and a few other places. Now you've got at least half a dozen or a dozen frequent makers that are constantly doing these types of aggressive stuff. It's harder to just be the costume and get people, so you've got to act. You've got to start building that out. Just going out in the halls and walking around and getting, once you get to that point that people are kind of coming up and watching what you're doing, you know you're getting that acting right. So this is a great place to practice for those. you've got a whole different set of rules here, though. You're allowed to kind of touch people somewhat. You're allowed to, sorry, that brought a weird thought to mind. You're allowed to get away with stuff, and at the same time, you're not really scaring people. Whereas at a haunt, you're going to be doing a little bit more of that. So it's a bit of a you're not fully learning what you're going to do with the haunt here, but you're at least getting in the right direction. So I would say for that, when you were in character, in mode, just in the right mindset upstairs 2 days ago, it was perfect. I know putting someone up at the front of a group and saying, now do what you did before, is a little bit tricky. But you were walking up to people. You were starting. You mentioned the shoes once. You were commenting on things on people. And noticing things like the red shirt, the wolves on the shirt, just the outfit, the cat makeup. Those types of things, noticing them and bringing them out and using those as what you're playing off of, certainly also works.
Well, it makes it very personal, doesn't it?
Sorry?
It makes it very personal. So you're really putting this person on the limelight, right smack in front of the wolves.
Yeah. And of course, there's the you're picking a target every time. Although the target you pick may not be the one you're staring at. As before, when I'm sitting here coming up to her and then dove over to him to growl. That is I've always found that a remarkably effective way. Because you get up, you're really closing in on someone, and the people around are watching. And what is he going to do to that person? And the moment you kick over to one of those people, it's all kind of about breaking the expectations. When you're doing stuff where you're being watched the whole time. It's not like so much where you're hiding behind something and lunging out at somebody. Where you're being watched the whole time, you can't ever let what they're expecting to happen be what actually happens if you're trying to be aggressive. Okay.
The haunted houses, I haven't done much myself. But when you're dealing with haunted houses with, let's say, a group, you surrounded the one person with three, do you tend to try to set up an out for that person?
So,
like a, safety valve out for them?
The place that I've been doing the work the last couple of years with, it meters people, and it's an outdoor place with houses you go through, and people are metered into the thing. So they only allow groups of up to, I think, 6 people at a time, and it's like they do that every minute. So it's not like a continuous stream of people coming through. As such, if you've got 6 people and you're really coming up, if it's only you and you're coming up with someone, you really can't stop them. I mean, there are places they can go away from you.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, when you're getting the 3 people around the one girl up in the front.
So it kind of depends. I mean, my view depends a little bit. Depends on how late it is. The place I am very clearly says before this hour it's not scary, and I'm not even out there. After this hour, they turn on the scary part, and even though officially it doesn't change with time, as it gets later and later, I'm less likely to give people a way out. If it's and it's a group. I mean, if I've got, and you'll see this, someone bring their 5-year-old kid, and the kid is just bawling. They were warned. I was standing there when I heard the people at the ticket booth warn them. This is not, we're not pulling this. We're not pulling the stops for you. But
Yes.
it's
just
just
a
a
screen,
little
yeah,
5-year-old
I can see
kid
it,
just
just
absolutely bawling. There's a point at which you've gone too far.
But
And
making them pee their pants is so much fun.
but when they're like in these
done it.
subs,
It's awesome.
when they're
Not
that young,
to do this?
At a haunt, they know. It is warned in the very
Yeah.
beginning.
when they're that young, that's where I'll often do it. Is when when a parent is like forcing the 5-year-old kid.
Well, when the parent is forcing, that's different.
Well, if it's 5-year-old, the parent's pretty much forcing.
Well, no, 7 years old, that's okay.
Once you get into, especially like junior high, all of us, they don't get an out then unless they. Now, the way it's set up, of course, there are places they can bail out.
Okay.
But at a particular interaction, and I certainly there's like one of the houses, they'll have to wait and be metered in because there's things that are triggered in the house that they have to clear, you know, basically only one group is in there at a time. And they're stuck there. They can't go in. And, you know, there's a staff or a volunteer there doing the metering, but they're not really being, you know, they're made up, but they're not one of the haunts, so to speak. And absolutely, you know, I'll be right up on someone's face. And I, for some reason, we didn't get so many Being in the Pants awards. We got people that before they even entered the first scary part, they were leaving the set. And we're telling them, if you leave, you're giving up your admission. You know, you're done. You know, if you want to come back, you have to pay again. And they're like, I'm done. Okay. You didn't even enter the first house yet, but fine. So that's kind of yes and no. I mean, I don't know. What did you guys do at Verdun? Letting people, when someone was getting just too far gone, would you back down that much, or did you just keep it going full pressure?
It's a personal moral decision at that point. Really, it's me, I might back off a little bit, because the idea is you're there for them, you're there to give them a good time, whether it's scaring them or whatever. You're still trying to entertain them, you know, appropriately. They're there to get scared, obviously, but if I'm having a good time, I might back off a little bit. It's just, it's really a case by case.
And there's a big difference that it's subtle in between the and the and you just watch those corners of the lips. You'll have people that look like they're terrified, but the corners of the lips are still rising. I mean, they're still having fun. They may be running from you. They may be hiding behind people. They may be, but they're still somewhere deep inside enjoying it. You get those. Actually, the ones that I get are the ones that, and you'll see people like this. They don't do well with costumed people. They don't do well with people whose faces are covered. And I have seen full-grown adults round where I'm standing in the Minotaur and just stop. And they're just like, you can just see them. And I'm looking at this person and I can tell they are borderline, absolute, honest to God, terror. And they're at the place where the people are explaining them the rules. Now, at that point, I will be aggressive to them to the point where they're going to realize this is not going to stop. And I have had a frighteningly large number of people not even make it through the explanation of the rules, because you realize they're the people that have that particular, they can't deal with people in masks. You know, and they're just going to freak out the whole time.
Also, the problem is if somebody's actually truly terrified and they could panic on you, you'll get what we call a fear strike.
Oh yeah.
So they may actually hit you in what they think is self-defense. So you got to be a little careful with that.
That actually gets to a point that I was going to mention. That's props. I carry this pretty much everywhere, in either the Minotaur or this costume or a few others. It is not a weapon. It would potentially be usable as one, but I do not. Boy, that's a great way to never be invited back to a hall. Is to actually start using a weapon. I have, however, someone come up and be an aggressor to me. Okay, so you're gonna. Well, see, they don't come up like that. It's fear strikes. It's the sudden. Yeah, that kind of thing. Although it's usually that's almost too planned. It's usually more. So you know, just someone come up behind me as if you're the one that's being the haunt, and I'll turn, and I'll just see it, and I'll just start to do just a broad, uncontrolled strike. That's easy. You dive back, you know, and I dove back. You probably dove back. And in my case, what I do is I immediately do this. It's a defensive pose, but now it's like if you hit me, you're likely to hit a hard piece of wood with lots of nodding and so forth. It's in that questionable range. The place I work is fine with it. Again, as long as it's close to me. You're not going to hit me. You know.
You don't want to cross the liability area, you know, because they come back and say, "Oh, he hit me."
Right. I've never actually had anybody. As soon as I get into that posture, and I'm growling and rumbling the whole time. They're always defensive strikes. They're always usually embarrassed that they just did it. So as soon as you're in this position, they're kind of like, they're embarrassed and they're like, and we don't want to continue this because, they're not allowed to bring sticks in. I am allowed to have one. In fact, actually, I often carry a sword, and I said, just drawing the sword and just holding it. I'm like, that's actual metal. It's dull. It's a theatrical prop. It's as dull as this thing is, but it's there. Again, you're not using it. The key thing is you're not using it as a weapon. You're using it as a symbol of control. And the place I was working in Illinois, I actually did have someone that was not a surprise punch. He was out there. It was a very dark area. He's like, I'm going to go punch the guys. And
That's when you
I could
call
see it
security.
coming, and I did this, and he punched right into the handle. And I just saw him doing this. And I'm like, yeah, you know. And he, you know, nothing came of that because there were enough people watching that was like, yeah, and you know, security came and removed him from the park. But yeah, I mean, admittedly, that's a little bit risky to do that. I've not personally had a problem. I've not worked with anything quite as formal as Verdun. These are all volunteer-only organizations. But that's actually the big thing to watch for is people will, and as I mentioned at the beginning, the moment you actually touch someone, not only do you enter that liability, you've pushed them a step further, and that will drive it often. Is, you know, they may be in control until you touch them, then it snaps.
Because of how dependent eye contact is as far as what you're doing, is there any trick that you use? Because like, in some I see him with your mouth or your eyes, maybe especially your visibility maybe lower.
So
Is there a trick you use to maintain eye contact?
there's a couple things, and this is going to be a little different with something like what Darkfang's wearing, where it's use your own eyes. Although they're so deep in there and it's so dark in a standard haunt, they never see your eyes. It might be kind of cool to have lights on your eyes in there, where you'd be blind during the battle. You know, you'd never be able to see anything. What you need to know is when I come up and stare at you, right now, the costume's eyes, I believe, should be looking just about right into your eyes. I have had costumes where if I do it the way I expect, it looks like this.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm sitting there staring out into space. So this is something that it just involves you putting the costume on and going to a mirror and just standing at that mirror and calibrating where you're looking. The problem, of course, is you may go, I'm looking up here, the eyes look like they're looking up here, I'm looking at you, but I look down and now I can't see where. So you may actually have to get someone else to sit there and go, okay, now you're looking into my eyes. One of my previous costumes, I basically had to sit there and stare at ladies' breasts in order to actually seem like I was looking them in the eyes, because it was miscalibrated. So I'm sitting here talking to people like this, while the entire time the costume was looking straight in the eyes. And I'm like, yeah, it's a little embarrassing, but no, you know. That's very important though for that. This one, I'm so lucky. That one is perfect. I was literally looking you right in the eyes, and the costume was doing the same.
That's actually pretty rare, it seems like.
Yeah, she's good at that. This one is a little more tricky, and I got you. This one's a little more tricky because without the pupils, it's a little harder to see where he's actually looking, which in some ways is an advantage, because he can kind of look anywhere and still see it.
So did the jury buy that explanation?
Security took the guy away, that's all I know. We ate well that night. But yeah, the eye contact is important. And actually for the one you've got, I know that your eyes move at random.
Yeah.
It might be interesting if you were to try to do something to have either a trigger you could hit on your finger that would just lock them dead center, or have a mode where when you're working in a haunt or something, they are just dead center locked.
Yeah.
Because that would be a problem if you're looking at someone in the eyes and your eyes are doing this the whole time. It's
An ADD demon.
on the other hand, that might actually.
It could be disconcerting at the same time.
Yeah. So.
Although it does work in a way, because also demons are looking around waiting for someone to kill them.
Yeah.
For those problems.
Actually, for this one, I've always thought this character should kind of have a bit of a darting, because you think of birds as doing that. And I've always thought this character, some of the reptilian characters, worked really well occasionally darting, even as they're talking to someone, very jerking moves to look around, which is also good because most of you know what the vision's like in most of these things. I mean, I have, and there's another problem, of course, you've got tunnel vision. You've probably got a lot better vision than any of us do. And, you know, I will honestly admit, right now, I've been standing out there. Can I get like a couple volunteers? That's dope. And so you kind of stand right there. And I'm playing with these two. And I'll go to spin around and like side check the person next to me. Because, you know, I'm doing the kind of rotating around somebody. And literally just almost dive right into someone once or twice. And it's like, and you just kind of have to sometimes you have to break character and go, I'm sorry. You know? And I have done that on occasion where I've never actually knocked anyone down, but I've certainly done that and kind of gone, oh, I didn't know you were there. And usually, you know, when I do that, I'm like as surprised as the person next to me, so it's pretty obvious that it was a screw up. And usually what happens is you'll be dealing with someone and someone will walk up, and you know, I will have done a scan of who's there. I'll usually try before I do it to just do a quick dart like that to get that view. But sometimes you miss, and the tunnel vision can be a little bit of a problem. So you can't really stay focused on someone's eyes too long because you're losing what's going on around you. And that spatial memory is
Very important.
very, very important when you have tunnel vision.
Yeah, especially when you get the ones under the radar, the little kids under the radar.
Yep. Okay, I know we've got some additional people that will come in costume, and one thing I try to do in these is always get other people in costume down. So I've got an Anubis, I've got the dragon, I've got a puppy that might be hard to be scary, but it could be a
It's a good meal.
You guys want to come forward?
Are you gonna do it, Jess?
So,
Yes, do it, do it.
so these are interesting in that
We'll get you next time.
I'm not sure. So if the puppy were trying to see, the problem with this is he's doing the mascot standard types of performances, which is going to be it's going to be a little tricky to deal with in an aggressive situation. That being said, you stand here. If you're here and doing stuff that's getting me distracted, I've now entirely, back to as we said before, open to someone coming behind me. So if I'm watching this, I'm trying to figure out why this is at a haunted house. Not behind me. Slight problem that I could hear the chains, but
Rattling chain.
yes, I know.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
But actually, you were a lot closer than I thought you were from what I heard in the chains. I actually thought you were further away, or I would not have raised my arm like that. You possibly have some of the haunts will have places where you can leave younger kids because they're not going to be good in the haunt. And you might actually have these types of characters in there as entertainment for the younger kids. But you get the adult that comes through, and actually there's nothing quite like using the kid as the distraction. You know, you're there, the kid's playing with this, and you know, there's the parent that's watching the kid. The kid loves to see the parent get scared. So I would say, generally this type of performance, unfortunately, isn't quite the right thing for the It is.
Did you lose a claw?
It is doing one thing that's worth remarking, though, is you are doing big motions. You are doing large things. If you move very small amounts, only the person right next to you will ever see it. This would be interesting in a haunt. I'm not sure it would go over very well in a haunt either. It might. It depends on what the theme of the haunt is. If you had this sort of futuristic type thing, you might have it play off in something like that.
I usually am using a chainsaw or something.
The chainsaw runners are always great. I mean, they get everywhere. Now, oh boy, that thing with a chainsaw,
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
There's a nightmare to, costume. I think that would work great, having that thing run after someone with a chainsaw.
High-tech chainsaw.
I can't imagine.
And he was never
So-
so from me.
I do think actually that with a prop, with a chainsaw, with a giant axe, with something like that. I have the non-costume performer distracting from the or the non-threatening performer distracting from the threatening part.
He's doing his job well.
Are you threatened by that?
So, actually, that's actually good though. I think that's the suit that wouldn't work well on its own, but it would work great with a prop. I think because if you saw that thing coming at you with a giant axe, I think maybe more chainsaw would be more appropriate. I don't think the axe would work. Chainsaw, something like that.
Something rumbling.
Yeah, something that makes a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So yeah, just imagine if that's a chainsaw in his hand. Here's something that I really like to see in these costumes, that when you look at this, you're not really sure, is this intended to be a mask that looks like a jackal? Or is there supposed to actually be a jackal underneath it? And it's completely unclear looking at it which it is intended to be. And I like that sort of mixed intentions. These are also really great little props. They're, I saw the person with them.
The griffin.
There, simple props like this, especially in a dark home, nobody sees the fact that they're fairly simplistic because you're hitting them with not literally hitting them. You're coming up with them so quickly and then diving out of the scene that they don't have a chance to notice how rough they are. The Minotaur that I wear there is old. It's old. It's not anywhere near that good of a shape, but at the home works just fine. Let's see, the dragon. How would you? Let's get a volunteer again. And does someone have the time, by the way?
It's
22 after.
4:22.
We've been going about an hour. Okay. So let's get a volunteer up.
Richard.
Okay. So let's just stand up, and let's let the dragon be the aggressor here. I would say the motions were a little quick, actually. They were. It would probably almost work better to come up a little bit more slowly and give them time to think about what's happening, and not necessarily be entirely comfortable with it, and occasionally make quick motions. But I've always been a fan of quick motions interspersed, or slow motions with quick motions interspersed, as opposed to going quick the whole time, which one will wear you out, and two,
Depends on how many people you're working with at the time.
it does to some extent. If you're trying to get through a lot of people, yes. Personally, I would pick individuals to focus on, because you're not going to get everybody, because some people are going to see what you're doing and you're never going to get them. But I would say try again. Let's try something a little bit slower. And you tell how the reaction this time is compared to the first. So you could see right there. You got much more of a jump that time than the first time. And I would say you seem to have a bit more of a reaction to the second time. I love that type of motion, especially from a distance. Baring the teeth from a distance has something to be said for it. Yep. So I think that worked better. Again, the coming up slowly and getting, you know, your 7 or 8 feet away, and then the bound. You know, again, I'm probably getting a little bit close for the, you know, you're definitely within range there that if you tried to reach out and punch, I'm within range. But not, you know, I'm still a good 2 or 3 feet away. I'm not in the literally.
You're also a lot taller than I am. You're overgrown, I'm not.
So yes, if you've got the height advantage, you know, use it.
It's not nearly as scary as me.
Yeah. Now, if you don't have the height advantage, the opposite to that,
Let's go low.
which other is scarier, is to get really low.
And then jump.
Well, yeah, for her, being sort of raptor-esque.
I mean, you get down low, and you can actually really kind of freak someone out by staying below them. It's being at their height that tends to, I think, have the least effect. So, you know, you get something like that, someone that walks around you. And actually, that's a great, go ahead and get back in that posture. Now you've got someone below you and someone above you. It seems to me at least that being at eye level is the worst place. You want to either be a little below eye level or a little above eye level. And it's harder to explain why the below eye level works, because by all rights, when you look down on someone, you shouldn't be. Yeah, that you should have the advantage. I think part of it is we're so trained that predatory animals, you know, even a big dog, you know, wolves, etc., are down low. I mean, you know, we're trained that the things that are likely to hunt us are down on all fours. So you get something, and you know, if you're doing this, especially in outdoor, wear paws and feet that you don't mind getting screwed up. Getting down low kind of almost carries that animal look. Especially if you get down, and I'm not going to get onto the feet here because it's too tiring.
I've got bad news.
It's basically throwing off their preconceptions as to what's dealing with us. Stopping looking human is really what it comes down to. You know, honestly, even with a head on, I'm a man in a costume. Any of you can tell I'm a man in a costume. You can tell all of these. Frisco go.
Potty break.
Oh. All of these, you know, even up to that one, which is probably the most extravagant one here, they're men in costumes. Yeah, you want to break that mindset. You want to push it to something where, for that moment, they can have that moment of disbelief. And of course, you're going to have people that you can tell they're standing there and they're just not going to let themselves go into that moment of disbelief. And you can startle them, but you're not going to scare them. You know, there's a difference in startling someone and scaring someone. You've got those other people that just can't take someone with their head covered, and they're already scared the moment they see you. So you kind of got to decide where you're going to go.
You really have to balance it out, don't you?
I want to see what this one looks like with the lights off. So, again, this is the kind of thing that, you know, I haven't seen used at the haunt that could make an excellent someone walking the lines along with someone like this, like yours, like, you know, Frisco's and who was here, to be less obvious. So come forward. And you don't even have to really act all that aggressive. I would say a sort of semi-aggressive pose. That's more than semi-aggressive, but it's working.
The wings were really good.
Yeah.
She won't.
What did you say to her?
She won't hurt you. Hope that was a female character.
Yeah.
I was going to say she won't hurt you, but I will. But I didn't even get that far. That looks that would work. I think that would be great in a dark. In fact, especially if you had a switch somewhere hidden, you could cut them out. You know, if you hit a switch in the paw and could kill them, and then basically get up close to someone and just as you lunge, hit the lights.
Disappear.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I should pull it out. There's a switch hidden for the lights on the eyes on this one that normally when I'm in the haunt, I can just tap myself on the shoulder here, to light or kill the lights. So then, yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I'll get up close to someone. I'll have my left arm kind of in an odd position, but they don't recognize why, and then I'll just, as I lunge, hit the hidden switch. I should route the ball. But the lights come on right as I lunge forward. I think with the full lighting on that, it would be very effective. I mean, again, I'm going to put the lights here for a second.
I like it,
I think, yes, you know, I almost would say it'd be better if they're red, but I know it matches the other coloring in the costume. I'm just trying to imagine that walking the line without lighting on the line. Queue line. That would be an excellent queue line costume. And in fact, I find walking the queue line one of the most fun things in the whole stuff. Because you've got this crowd that's just entirely captive.
Outside.
And it's outside, they're a captive crowd. Well, the place I'm in Seattle in October in an indoor-outdoor place.
Okay.
So the negative of that is it's raining usually. And boy, that costume gets heavy after it gets soaking wet. But yeah, the walking of the line. You know, at first when I was doing this stuff, I kind of hated doing the walking line because I felt like it was, you know, just walking. But no, that's actually one of the most enjoyable positions. And frightening a large number of people, I would actually get to turn around and go off the line. And I was a little scared of that at first because I'm like, I just cost them, you know, 4 tickets because they just left without even starting. And they're like, no, if someone can't even stand you walking up and down the line, we don't want them, you know, we don't want them in there. But it is, again, still a balance. That would be just really well. That would work very well at walking the line. Because it's not immediately aggressive. But you were doing a really good sort of aggressive pose with that. More than I would actually expect you to be able to do in that one.
I have a race of the monster movies on my life, so I absolutely love, you know, many suits and what they do to intimidate an audience. So.
Yeah, and you actually come up close. You and her are about the same. You're about at eye level. Yeah, you're pretty close to the same height. So that getting down lower then seemed to really work, and it seemed to work for you as well.
Well, it's almost a different scare, though. It's not a demon scare, it's a wildlife scare. With her.
Maybe.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely,
good thing.
you know, you're saying it's triggering a different set of
Yeah.
receptors, and I don't know.
Well,
That's
it's much
actually,
different than this.
it's certainly different, yeah.
It's not Frankenstein at all.
I mean, yours probably are triggering roughly the same reaction.
Yeah.
It is a different reaction.
Because it is a pretty constant.
You don't
Yeah.
like know,
Yeah,
you're nice, you don't know.
and you certainly don't know what he's going to do. And I think is you see it, and I'm going to hit the lights again, especially in the dark. You know, come forward again.
You can see.
That thing, between these two, if you had these two walking the line in a darkened area,
Oh, that's going to mess people up.
actually, I could see the two playing off each other.
Yeah.
It's
got a white-black type.
Yeah, you know, with the wings, yeah, I could almost see good cop, bad cop style.
Yeah.
And, you know, actually, playing it good cop, bad cop style, but where at some point you become obvious that this is bad cop and this is good cop. And the thing about walking the lines, of course, is you can set stuff up. You can do that. You may have enough time with a group. You can actually do more than just lunge out at them. You can, if you've got a talking character, you can actually interact with them for more than just a minute at a time. And I think that actually, that
That'd
would
be
work
really
really well, I think. Okay, we've probably got about 20 or 30 minutes left. Plenty of time, but like I said, I encourage people in the audience, if they've got questions, if they've got comments, yes.
Being like these two.
The demon suits, the werewolf suits, etc.
How often would you say do you actually vocalize, like actually use English or words rather than going on?
For me, it depends on my mood. I will do some nights where I'm doing nothing but growling, except when I'm talking, except when I have to. And there are other nights where I will just be in a mood to be in that, demonic, deep voice and just talk. And for me, it's entirely based on what kind of mood I'm in. Same for you, or?
Well, I'm very limited. I'm not going to have a full conversation with you.
No.
But it'll be just monosyllable, or, people come, they usually ask me the question, are you real? Yes. That's it. Because if you carry it too far, you're going to break that suspension of disbelief.
I mean, I'll do things like, can I have him for dinner? Something like that. That's probably the longest statement I would make. But there were other nights where I don't feel like talking, and I feel like just grumbling and growling and so forth. I would say last year, at the first year, I had taken a few years off, and then last year I started doing one again. I was probably doing more talking last year. This year I just was not in the mood to talk, and I don't know if it's just because you have to think more when you're talking. You have to think about
Yeah.
As you notice, you're thinking, what am I going to say? Whereas if you're growling, just... That's pretty good. Yeah, I've never used anything to modify the voice. That's pretty good, though.
Why is it the front?
But just getting used to just doing a sort of guttural breathing. Is that tight? Did she bite you? Did you bite her? Oh, meow. You like cats? The cat girls. You'll get that. More often than every night.
Call me Whoopi.
Every night I'll get someone going, puppy. The worst thing is when I'm wearing the Minotaur, I get puppy. What?
That's how you also know when in the haunt, when furries are going through, I'll get hugs.
Yeah.
That's my style.
And actually, that actually is worth mentioning. If you are the audience in one of these and you're going through, one, I don't go through them anymore because I can't. It's just I'm sitting there going,
Yep.
yeah, okay. Oh, that's cool how they did that.
I helped run one for 7 years,
Yeah.
and it's like
It's still
cool.
Yeah, it's like you'll walk through it and you're doing the, oh, that's cool how they set that up.
It's exactly
Oh, I've never seen that prop before. Oh, they must have built that one.
Oh God, that was me.
Right.
That was
Yeah,
me
you're
too.
just coming in. And it's funny because you'll be in the haunt and you can tell those people right away because you'll lunge up to them and their reaction is about like what your reaction was. And it's like, well, I usually just write them off. I mean, it's like I can lunge up to someone and if they have deadpan, no reaction, there's nothing I'm going to do. I'm not going to waste my time trying to get someone that obviously is completely deadpan from reacting to it. The most I might try, and borrow you for a minute, and I'll borrow you for a minute, is you're the deadpan person that's done this for years, look at me. Turn and look at me. The most I might try is getting him to come forward and do something behind you, but even then, it's you'll get that kind of reaction. I mean, and usually if you get something like that, at that point it's like, Okay, go on. You
Yeah,
know?
it's a royal bummer, actually.
It is, it's a downer, and it's not always people that are analyzing it, they're just people that you wonder why they're going to begin with. They just don't seem to have any interest in
They're
what's
bringing
going
their
on.
girlfriend who likes being scared.
No, I've seen groups that are, a group of 3 people that none of which seem to have any interest in what's happening around them. Yeah, oh, you got those too. Those are fun. And the best thing to do with those is, you've got the friend that's being scared, and you'll kind of off to the side here go, you know, making signals, you know, I'm going to do something to him. And if you can get them on your side, that's what you're saying about the stealing the girlfriend type thing. It can be tricky though, and you know, every now and then you'll pull something off where you get someone to swap out, or you will be doing the aggressive to this person, and you'll kind of get them to realize that you're going to really picking on him, and I've actually seen someone where I dive over, and as I did the dive over, they came up and they and I'm like, yes. And so yeah, the person that was like, I want to see her get scared, jumped about 3 feet high, and you know, you can get that from time to time. You will get the people that you can tell the moment they come in, they're there to cause trouble. That's always a tricky thing because you don't really have the right to kick someone out. You know, the staff does, or the security staff does, I should say. Yeah. But you as a performer, you know, at least in our case, we don't. I assume at Vernon it was the security staff that had that right now.
You have to go tattle on them.
Right. And don't hesitate to do that. I have more than once left the trail and, you know, grabbed a security person and gone, watch the group that's, you know, wearing the flannel shirt and the wolf shirt. They're going to be a problem. I've worked almost entirely at volunteer haunts, which means there's a lot of kids also doing the haunt performance, which means if you've got a group that's going to be going to be a problem, you need to let security know, because you've now got kids coming up later in the thing that are the actors, and you don't want, you know, a group of troublemakers now dealing with underage actors. But that's, nothing good comes of that.
Hecklers, too.
Hecklers, you know, I've not had a huge problem with that.
Sometimes
Yeah.
the biggest hecklers can be the ones that can be scared.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of times they're covering the fact that they're getting scared. And if you can catch that, well, then they're your target. You know?
Probably become part of the show.
Yeah.
You got their money.
Yeah, exactly. You got the money. If it's a charitable event, the charity gets the money. If it's a commercial, your investors get the money. But the key thing is they're in. So that's, you know, it's a bit of a balance always as to who to pick on, how far to take something. Generally though, if you're getting, you know, I think the one I was at is like 7 o'clock is where they say it's allowed to be scary. Once 7 o'clock rolls around, you're pulling out a lot of stops. And once it's like 9, 10, 11 o'clock, no, you know, I will push someone as far as I can, and you know, you get the people that are like, I need to go to the bathroom right now, and you know, do you have a sink in there? Yeah. You know. No, it's I need to clean up a little bit.
What I've seen in some of the haunted houses, I'm just curious how you handle this. The actor where he's not moving, and then it's like stop, go type of acting.
So where you're basically, you're waiting at a house that you know people are going to come into, and you're just frozen, and you're a
They also
prop.
go, hey, how you doing? You know, I mean, that type of thing.
I've done that a little bit in this costume or the Minotaur. It works. I don't know. In my opinion, it's just not a good use of the costume. I don't know. From maybe it's just the way I tend to do things. I always think it ends up being a startle thing that's just short-lived. That's my opinion. You know, you startle them briefly, and then they're like, okay, that's done. I've seen it done well, but personally, I would rather be out where I can interact with people for a longer period. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's time and a place type thing. Like,
Yeah.
I've done a little at the statue. I'll go hang out in the souvenir shop.
You know,
I'll put a price tag on me and everything, you just sort of sit there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good example, time and a place. That's the environment for it. I'm not going to do that in a nice elaborate, haunt setup.
Yeah.
It's a waste. So I'm there to be a little more reliable.
Yeah. Now, that being said, one of the houses at the place where I do it, it's house to house to house, would frequently take some of the people that are just in simple latex appliances, that kind of thing, and have them do that. Sort of like be holding a fake axe or something and just standing there, because there are mannequin props in there.
Yeah.
And just as someone is looking at mannequin, just lunge out. That works. It's a much more simple costume.
So
But I-
almost as simple as a costume and more the jerk type of.
It is my opinion that when you get more complex suits, when you get more involved stuff, honestly, you should have more interaction with the people if you can perform it, because something like this, something like that, something, any of these, you want people up close and looking at them. You want people to get up close and go, shit, that still looks realistic. Whereas you get the person that takes a very quick latex appliance, although I've seen some beautiful latex appliances, not to degrade those at all, but that has done a very, maybe a 15-minute makeup job. They can be in a poorly lit house, leap out at someone, startle them, get back in position, a minute later leap out at the next person, because they can't, realistically, if they're interacting with someone for more than a couple minutes, the costumes, I don't say deficiencies, but simplicities will start to show more than something like this. Of course, you get a tremendous number, and I'm sure you guys got this at Verdun. Where can I buy one of those? And I usually just ignore the question and just continue to stay in character. But that you get a lot of, certainly. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, I've only ever done one haunt in college, and it's very strict, like, this is what you're wearing. I got in trouble for it on socks one day. Like, how often do you find haunts where it's like, bring your own costume, or?
So, the one that I'm working at it's run by Shriner's Haunt, which I think Shriner's runs a fair number of them around. I showed up, it's weird, I had not been doing it for, God, three years since when I moved to Seattle. I didn't know one right away, so I took some time off. And literally, like, across the street from my house is a Shriner's golf course. I mean, it's like less than a mile away, and they have big lit signs that haunted house, opening Thursday. And I showed up Thursday with the costume in the back of the car, and I stopped at the booth and I said, I'd like to talk to someone about volunteering. And they said, oh, drive up there, go into this building and go downstairs, and that's where the green room is, and you can talk to someone there about doing the volunteering. And I grabbed the bag, I think I just grabbed the head. I said, I want to bring this guy out. And they looked at it and went, oh, you do? Well then, what does the rest of it look like? And I pulled out a picture that I had printed out of it. They're like, you want to bring that? Yeah, sure, go for it. And I'm like, have you, I said I've done haunts before. I spent about 4 or 5 years at a place in Illinois and so forth. I would imagine that would not have gone over quite as well. Well, it would have been friendly at Verdun, but they would have said, no, we've got what we need.
No, we would go beyond.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I have certainly heard horror stories of people that have said, yeah, this is a commercial place, they want long tryouts and so forth.
If you show up in Batman, no.
Yeah. But I show up in something like this.
You fit right in.
Yeah.
What's up? Come on.
So, I suspect it varies from place
It's
to place.
copyright stuff that you can't use, right?
You need to
That
ask,
or
you
if
gotta
just
ask.
don't look, the puppy, sorry.
Yeah, it's like,
Probably wouldn't make the cut.
yeah, the puppy that was up, actually, see, I would actually say, if I were running something and he were acting right, if he could somehow pull off.
We find his place, we wouldn't put him in the house, we put
Right.
him midway, like I say, work the line.
But if you saw him working the line in a way that was absolutely terrifying, yeah, I'm going to say. But I have definitely heard other people say, and I've heard that there's another one local to me, that it's pretty much, you're trying out a month in advance. When you get accepted, they give you the costume, they give you, here's what you're doing, you will not deviate from the script, yada, yada, yada.
That doesn't sound like fun.
It doesn't, no. And we'll pay you $10 a night, Oh, great, $10 a night for 5 hours of work, that's way below minimum wage.
If you're having fun, you're gonna do a better job.
Yeah.
You know, so that takes all the fun out of it.
All of the places I've volunteered at are volunteer places. The security people, actually the Shriners, security people are not, they're members of the Shriners who are not paid. The bus drivers who shuttle, there's basically you have to park here and you're shuttled down to the location, they're paid. But, and the other place was a state park that set it up, that was all volunteer. I suspect the all volunteer ones, on average, you have a better chance of getting to do what you want, of having fun. I mean, it sounds like Verdun had a lot of fun. That really wasn't a volunteer type thing in general.
We took volunteers, and they pretty much got to do within reason what they wanted to do. You're not gonna get one of these. You're gonna get
Unless you shell out the bugs.
But yeah.
Yeah. I would say, look for the volunteer places. You're gonna generally probably have a better luck with them, but, you know, don't exclude commercial places. The one that I've heard the horror stories about was a radio station run one. And I'm kind of guessing that a lot of the radio station runs are really just there to promote the radio station. You know, they're there to kind of be a promotion effort for the radio station. They also charge a bloody fortune to enter. I mean, our place was $10 to enter, which I think everyone said was absurdly low. They were like $50 a ticket.
What?
It was just absurd. I mean, it's like, you know, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And we were getting consistently better reviews than theirs. Yeah, $10 for better reviews, $50 for less. So I would say if you found one that is being really picky, go look for something else. Because they're not, the two that I've worked at recently and then the handful of them around here when I lived here that I would do 1 or 2 nights at, all were very much, if you know how, you know, if you know the rules, if you know how to act, if you're not gonna put us in a legal issue, put yourself in a safety issue, put our guests in a safety issue, go for it. There was one here. What was the one that was at that mall? It was so scary. Not the haunt scary. The mall was scary. Where I was wearing I think one of my older werewolves, and it had a sword. And I'm like, here, I do not want that sword drawn. And I had like 5 lines of solid metal locking. Because, you know, it was a great prop, but this was the kind of place you're like, there could be gang violence breaking out around me at any moment.
Is it in the Bay Area?
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago.
Was it in Oakland or something?
No, it was some almost completely abandoned mall back in the center of the area. Velcro? Might have been Velcro.
No, Velcro doesn't have them.
Oh, no, this was like a decade ago.
No, it doesn't. No, Velcro was really good a decade ago.
Yeah, Eastridge.
No, there was.
Eastridge.
What?
Eastridge.
Oh, it might have been Mayfair. And that would be kind of Oakland area. Now that you say it, it might have been Bayfair, actually. Yes. I think it might have been Bayfair now that you say that. And it was, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of scared being here in the costume because, and I'm glad I did because I had 2 or 3 people come up and literally grab the sword and try to pull it. And it's like, but there were literally 10, binding, safety wires, like 10 wraps around it. It wasn't coming off the belt for nothing. I don't know how I got to that, but.
If you're doing a mall or something like that, then you'd want your own handler.
Yeah. Oh, we had handlers and they were still, I mean, we had, I think, 1 handler for 2 costumes, for a lot of people out of costumes.
You need to do.
They were over.
Okay,
They
what
honestly,
can we do now?
They honestly needed professional security for handlers. Actually, that's another point, and that's,
You look so
when I'm
sad.
working the home, I don't have a lot of immediate handlers. I don't know how much you had at Verdun in terms of immediate handlers.
We'll go get your do now.
Security, nobody can.
Right. So I knew where all the security people, I knew where the security people tended to be stationing themselves. They were all wearing
It's not
bright,
done yet.
bay glow orange.
You want to wait for the thingy to be
vests,
done?
so they were easy to spot. And, there were enough roaming just employees of the facility. But in a home, don't expect to have a handler all the time because the handler actually can get in the way of
It just
the
straps.
home. Yeah. So that's actually something, if you're in somewhere like a mall and doing a haunt, it can be kind of, you're getting into a weird area there. And of course, those are almost always going to be commercial haunts. Yeah.
Believe it or not, like in a line, a haunt line, sometimes it's good to just have someone who's not next to you, but close enough to be.
Yeah.
Because when I did one way at the beginning with Terra Luna, like that, I actually had someone go with a 2x4.
Wow.
I mean, Super J was one who said, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, this guy's wings are broken because of someone grabbing at him in a haunt. And it's a repair that I've made 2 or 3 times, and I have yet to repair it to the original. You know, the repairs have been the weak point that have broken, like it broke here at the con this weekend, but it's not anybody's fault. It's the repair's a weak point that I have yet to be successful at not having to be a weak point. But the original damage was done. It was me being stupid, though. I mean, this thing, I could do just about anything like it is now. Put the wings on it, and I'm all of a sudden, the wings are big for this guy. I'm all of a sudden much less mobile. And as I said, there's a shuttle that runs from the haunt itself up to the parking lot, because the parking lot's up much, long enough where you don't have people walking. And it was just kind of gotten slow. It was towards the end of the night. There weren't a lot of people on the course. There was nobody in line. And I just hopped on the bus and kind of played with people on the bus as it was riding up. And as I was stepping off the bus, someone kind of grabbed one of the wings. And I don't even think they really meant it. You know, I didn't report it to security because I don't think they actually meant to do any damage. I think they were just kind of, hell, for all I know, they might have been trying to pull it away and help me clear it around the door. I mean, it wasn't like someone was being outwardly aggressive towards it. But as I did it, I heard a snap in one of the Delrin rods at a weak point, and it broke free.
Bad Delrin
But
rods,
that was,
bad.
you know, I had put myself in a position that I had not put myself in before. It was a very tight, cramped, enclosed space with a costume that had these giant wings, and there was no business doing that.
Wings can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I no longer, even when they're fixed, I don't wear those anymore.
Wings. Wings.
My demon wings can be a pain.
Yeah.
You have to look this way, then look this way, and then they come out.
Yeah, and things like that, things like unfolding wings, they're just,
They look awesome.
they're great, but they're not the right thing. I mean, part of it is also, these costumes are all fairly good. I mean, that with the wings is good. That would be a great line costume. This one, you used it there, but certain things, actually, you didn't use the snake tail, did you? Yeah. Like the snake tail on this one, great, looks wonderful, don't use it as a haunt. It's just, it's one, they're not going to notice it, and 2, it's too fragile and too easily damaged. I should not have been wearing the wings, and I sure as hell shouldn't have been wearing them, climbing on this tight little bus, because they're little mini buses. I mean, actually, one of them is a Shriner's clown car, you know. And I think it was actually the Shriner's clown car that got damaged. So part of it is also recognizing what the right costume is. You know, these are all great costumes, but like that one, you don't want to wear that snake tail because it's too easily damaged. The wings on that, they're actually not that hard. They're pretty durable, right? And if they got damaged, replacing the wire would be relatively straightforward. Yeah. Whereas the wings were valuable and not easily repairable. So it was a mistake wearing those.
I could just buy these again. They're just awesome.
Yeah.
They're just I have to repaint them.
Yeah. Okay, we're probably, so we got the time? It's
Right at 6.
Oh, we're definitely right at the end.
Or 5.
So if there are any final questions, I'll take those. If not, we'll probably be done.
Raw.
Do what? Scare each other.
No, it's. Oh, that'd be something to see.
One of each come up,
Whoever gets the loudest scream, wins, right?
yeah, get up there.
No,
Those werewolves make it too easy.
Yeah.
It is nice up in here.
Yeah, it is.
They're already scared out.
They already popped the bubble, right?
Yeah. I didn't even have to take the head on yet. I like that sort of bouncing run.
Yep, I think they're scared out.
No, we're scared after.
No, no.
Maybe there's one left.
I think the werewolf wins.
High five. Dude. Yay!
Can we get a group shot of all of you together?
Yeah.
Head back on, yeah.
Can you turn on the lights all the way because it's dark?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You should go up there too.
Flash.
Yes.
Many happy rough
Hey, demon man. Could you growl for me again? No, that grrring, yeah. We were the ones freaking out over you earlier yesterday. You are our favorite. High fives. Sound effects and everything. That's the best high five.
Also, people, the many suits screening tonight, if you can make it to that, it is an awesome film.
Whoa, we're going. Oh yeah.
Amazing film.
Let's go get two. Two.
9:30. Alright.
Can you do that meow again? I didn't get on film.
The best part about that is the mouth actually makes a mewing.
Kitty face.
That's way out of my way. Did you make that yourself or did you actually buy it? Oh, nice. That's really good. Okay.